We are live. Welcome to the show, all of you SPs out there in SPville, big place. SPville keeps growing and growing and growing, and soon it will form into its own country like the Vatican. Can you imagine Scientology? You have an SP Vatican, and we could all of us SPs we could form into a religious order akin to the Sea Org, with the purpose to remove Scientology from the planet. Yeah, I'd be up for a billion years for that. Welcome everyone to the show. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty. I, of course, had to rebuke Satan and his demons. It was a Windows glitch, so that's Bill Gates. It's his fault. So James Freya, blocking is illegal. The advertisers pay. Scientology blocks and sabotages. Well, that's really interesting because I wanted to open on this. one of my listeners sent me. Thank you. And Scientology, James, Mary, welcome everyone. Claim your destiny, Monkey Paws. Everyone, welcome Mary, Crook Smith. And one of my listeners, I thank you for sending this. And you know who you are. So they went on to check out the Scientology Money Project on YouTube. And Scientology is paying money, not only on my channel, but on everyone's channel who's on SPTV and others. So what I wanted to do, what I want to do is note that first of all, Osa, thank you for spending money to advertise on my channel. So now when everyone does a YouTube video, you should know that you're costing Scientology money. They have to spend money. Now, this ad it says, decide for yourself. Take a free personality test. So that's their message. Decide for yourself. So what Scientology is trying to say is that don't listen to the bigots and the haters and the YouTubers and the live streamers and the SPs and the ones and the degraded beings and the wogs and the psychiatrists and the marcabs and SMERSH and the CIA and the FBI and the courts, criminal courts, civil courts, the lawsuits. Don't listen to what the evangelicals say that we're satanic. Don't listen to what the Catholics say. Don't listen to the fact that we've been banned in several countries. We're not even can't go anywhere near the People's Republic of China, or they'll execute us. Don't listen to all that. Don't listen to the weight of the evidence against us. Don't listen to the past of the forced abortions of the children's whose childhoods we ruined. Don't listen to everything. Decide for yourself. Decide for yourself. And yeah. So, but here's the thing. Office of Special Affairs. Here's the thing. You want people to decide for yourself. But then I noticed, I photographed, shared with my audience here, best audience in the world. You're not letting people decide for themselves when it's into Sea Org members at your Pacific base, at PAC base. You're not letting them decide for themselves. So Scientology, why? The question arises, are you full of shit? You're saying decide for yourself, but to your own members, you're saying, nope, can't see it. Don't look at the billboard. We're going to block it. And my lovely wife, Karen, and I drove by, and the little blue puny COB weenie lift is still there. And then the big black lift is there as well. And we just drove by it before the show to check it out. And yep, it's there. So they want you. So look at the schizophrenia. Okay. So when it comes to Scientology Money Project or anyone's show, but it's Aaron Smith Levin's, I mean, it's just, it could be anyone, Leah Remini. It just, you go down the list, Mark Headley, Claire Headley. I mean, you go down the list of all the people who are speaking out on SPTV and other channels, and they don't want you, they want you to decide for yourself, and they'll pay for ads. on social media. But when it comes to them and their CERG members, no, they block. They block. So I thought that was quite something to see, that they're going to block it. Look at that. And this is an interesting disjunctive image. Decide for yourself, except in real life where we will decide for you. So there you go. So that today we're going to talk a little about metaphysics, because it's interesting. Why do people stay in? I've done about 100 interviews with Scientologists, former Scientologists, over the years, starting maybe 2013, 2014. So I have about 100 interviews. And plus, those are the ones I've recorded on YouTube. I have other interviews I just have done informally. And so Scientologists are very different. They all have their reasons for leaving. Some are very different from others. So I'm not really interested in this episode. I'm not interested in why people leave, because we have so many great stories about why they leave. And it comes down to abuse, cruelty, breaking up families, and so on. I'm more interested in some of the metaphysics of Scientology. It's so Emerald City, Mary Cruiksmith says. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Yeah, that's exactly it. Don't look. So why do they stay in? And because Scientology, for one, I wanted to show you how it's built. We're going to go over some material you've probably seen before, but I was reviewing this. Where did you get your hat? I want one. Well, I got it at the hat store. Well, you have a hat on. No, actually, there's a Western wear store in Santa Clarita, and I think it's called Phil's. I don't remember. I got there, and so I got to Phil's to get cowboy boots, Western wear. And then there's a spy store where I buy my PI stuff. But yeah, it's a cool hat. Getting a little bit beat up. I'm just looking at another hat, but this is an old favorite, because we've been through wind, rain, storm, heat of the desert, all kinds of stuff. I was even shot at once while I was out in the desert. I had this hat on, and it was a warning shot. Someone said, "Get off my land," because I was using my binoculars to survey something. Anyway, so yeah, the jacket's 25 years old too. So you know how you get your favorite stuff. It's an old leather jacket. It needs replacing because it's beat up, but it has So anyway, the let's look at some of the comments before we dive in. Anna, hi, hello, half lioness, half woman. She's a mythical creature. Anne A. Osa Mad sponsoring SPTV. It's awesome. Yes, no kidding. It's so funny that they have to spend money to ask you to decide, when they're not going to let you decide once you join the Church of Scientology. The thing you lose immediately when you go into Scientology is your choice. You keep losing more power. Scientology wants you to be self-determined, but yet they're going to rip it out of you. They're going to take away your choices, and that's down the dwindling spiral. The first way they do it, of course, is you sign all the contracts where they strip you of your legal rights. And I'm going to keep repeating that ad infinitum because you have to know it. James, LRH stole the tech. LRH should not have copyrights. Boy, that's a big story for another time. Yeah, it's Freudian psychotherapy, Baldwin Matheson's E-meter. That's the true origin. But they do have copyrights, and that's another battle. It's an interesting point of view. Claim your destiny. We decide no, because we heard bad info from y'all, and you keep deflecting the facts. Not sure. I may have gotten in the middle of something, but whatever. Okay. So, oh, there you go. Wishing everyone a peaceful Lisa McPherson Memorial Day, March 13. How nice of you. Tomorrow is L. Ron Hubbard's birthday, rather. Annette Bates. Good evening for Northeast Oregon. Good evening to you in Northeast Oregon, for Southern California. And ARC is the hypostatic onion. There you go. They stand because they are sleep deprived and overoccupied. That's true for Sea Org, certainly. And there's many reasons, well, including fear, believing that you're going to save the world. Now, here's an interesting thing. Yeah, they defang and declaw you. No kidding. That's my archaeologist hat. I have a collection. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got several hats around. And this is my favorite one. Osa secretly loves you. Man, I don't think that's the right word for it. I know they after my showing up yesterday and filming the failed crane, the failed lift tech, man lift tech. I don't think they love me. I think they think differently. F sign toe. Yes. In fact, that's a new thing coming into trend. It's sign toe F as well. And Tina in the last 20. Wow, Tina, in the last 20. What? Blessed with angels, no cults for me. Blessed with angels, it looks like. Am I right? No cults for me. We also say, I'm too blessed to be stressed. Well, Miss Tina, I am just too blessed to be stressed. And, frankly, one of the secrets, some of the new Scientology live streamers and stuff, some people are asking me, because I've been doing this 20 years, part of it, like, how do you handle the fair game? Part of it is you don't give a shit. You just don't give a shit. As we used to say in Pentecostal church, the devil only has as much power as you give him. So if you just don't give a shit about OSA, you let him yap and run, and your critics and detractors don't give a shit. If the older you get, the more you realize you just don't sweat the small stuff. And people are gonna talk about you anyway. You're not gonna get through life without having some enemies and detractors. That just you're not, even if you're not in this field of exposing Scientology, you're still gonna pick up in any field you go into, whether it's music, entertainment, wrestling, drag car racing, even the politics of bowling. When when I worked at Hughes, Fran, who worked in the strong room where we gave out office supplies, Fran used to chain smoke, and she would always go bowling. And she was claiming she could roll like 250, 270, which is a high score of bowling. And one day Fran said, I almost became a professional bowler, but the politics were too much. So that became a joke around Hughes Technical Publications Unit, where I was, that the politics of professional bowling, just too much. Politics of professional bowling. But the point is, no matter where you go, you're going to have your detractors. And so that's part of the secret, is to not give a shit about what Scientology, if they put something up on you in the internet, or they send a PI around your house, he's just some goon. PIs are not cops. They can't do anything. You just take their picture, ignore them. Maybe find out where they live and go to their neighborhood and post their picture around saying, this guy works for Scientology. He was spying at my house. He's your neighbor. You could do that if you have photographs and evidence. They're going to come to your house, take pictures. You go into their neighborhood and say, look, this guy works for a cult. I don't like it. And then that will get them really upset. So, because they did that. I had a guy named John Gonzalez, a PI, come around my neighborhood, and big fat John. And anyway, it's the same with, I'm not going to go there at this. Come at me, PI Zenosa. The neighbors already know about my P charts. Now that's funny. That is funny. One great thing to use against OSA, and I wrote at zenu.net years ago that I used to put disinformation in my posts, and it would be so funny if you had OSA, and I'm just thinking of this as a PI. If This is so funny. So if you went in and you get a Scientology PI saying, "Hey, you knock on the door, ma'am, I'm a we're investigating unstable data. I'm your neighbor. Could you tell us anything about him?" And have your set your neighbor up to say, "Oh, well, he keeps his pee in jars in his house. Yeah, there's like 2,000 jars. He's been doing it for years, but he keeps all his pee in jars." That would so freaking freak out a PI that they would probably leave your Scientology would probably leave you alone forever. That is that's a great thing. Like it'd be like Donatella. She's a Donatella Kevinar's OSA terminal. She's supposed to be secret. She's a high-ranking secret, but Charlie Earl would say, "Hey Donatella, we got the report back on unstable datum. He keeps his pee in jars." They'd go, "Oh man, he's a psych case. He's a psych case. Just like stay away." That is so funny. It's so grotesque. But I don't know. Maybe the people in OSA keep their pee in jars. I don't know. Susie Q, great avatar. Jeffrey, can the AF call the people who they are renting the billboard from about the lift? They are paying for the sign and not being blocked. Susie Q, I know they're making some calls. I'm not up to date about that. I got to talk to Phil. And, so that, I went and looked at the property line, and there's like an alleyway where the billboard is. So it's not Scientology property. Then there's Scientology property. And unless the billboard company has an easement, Scientology can probably block it. And it just becomes a big news story. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I know the Aftermath Foundation is working on it. And there you go. It's pitiable and embarrassing, these stalkers. Yes, they are. They're pathetic. Hey, wait. Oh, that's my red borzoi, my Sebastian, my dog. I saw this big creature outside my window here, and it was my dog. He's a Russian wolfhound. Hey, Jeff, get death threats semi-regularly, though he's ended up blocking me for real, blocking me real quick for some reason. I think I get your drift there. Yeah, they'll I've gotten a few death threats on the phone. Sounds like some next level fuckery. Yes, it is. It is next level fuckery. P jars can keep us safe. Yes, as a PI shows up, you go, "Why don't you come in and see my collection of P jars?" Because there have been TV shows about people who do that. And like if you tell your neighbors to tell them something really messed up about you, one, they don't know if it's a setup and you're going to sue them for slander and libel, or if you're really that way. When they sent a PI to check me out, the PI got upset and ran when I grabbed the camera. Yep, they will. It was hilarious. The PI didn't know the area and stuck out like a sore thumb. They usually do. You know what? Private investigator means private. And you usually want to work so that you're not known. Not always. Hubbard had two kinds of investigations: the noisy investigation, where a PI wants you to know they're investigating you so that you get rattled. You don't have to be. Just because some cult's bothering you, like, it's not a big deal. It's kind of like, not to be indelicate, but it's kind of like dog shit in the park. It's, OSA and their PIs are like dog shit in the park. They're unsightly, smelly, but you can just step around them. Like if you see a steaming pile in the park, it's like that cult didn't curb its own excess, but you're not going to worry about it, but you're also not going to step in it. So you don't engage. You just treat it like some odious, offensive thing it is. So there you go. This could be an inside joke. Yes, David Miscavige and Tom Cruise, why don't you come in and see the collection of pea jars? We have some in the museum. That would creep Tom out. Do you know the new AF member who was there to film the sign going up was attacked? Well, no, that was Phil Jones, and Karen and I had dinner with him the night before, And what happened is some homeless guy, probably paid by OSA, came out and was, you know, swung with a plastic water bottle at Phil, grazed his head. Phil ducked, and the guy was putting trash on his car. LAPD was called. Phil declined to press charges because he was just grazed. And oh yeah, I bet they have plenty of PGRs at Int Base. I wonder if David Miscavige, collects everything like that. He strikes me as the type. David Miscavige strikes me as the type of guy that would. So, um, how do you manage to mingle with both sides of the major factions in anti-Scientology and current climate? Oh, that's a good question, Dangerman 5. How do you manage to mingle? Well, I have a rule that, first of all of my friends don't have to like each other. They just don't. So I understand my friends don't have to like each other. So I can like you, but you don't have to like my friend Ted. I know you don't have to like him. And that's fine because I can talk to Ted and I can talk to you, but I'm not going to invite you guys to the same party. But my friends don't have to like each other. I respect the fact that there's legitimate issues that are generational in nature. I respect the fact that there's serious disagreements. And one thing also, it's not my battle. You know, sometimes I will stay out of fights that I have no part of. I'm not a party to what's going on. And I respect both sides. I respect the right to disagree. And I respect the fact that they have platforms and they have the freedom to speak. So I respect both sides in that debate. And if one side, what I will not engage in is an ultimatum. If someone tells me, um, and if someone tells me, and I don't like to mention names because I just like to stay out of things, but there is someone in our community. Now, this is irrespective of politics. I don't care which side you're on about Trump. I don't care. You have the freedom to believe in your own politics and to vote for whoever you want. I'm a civil libertarian. You have the right to do that. But a few years ago, when Trump was in office, someone in our community posted, "If you support Trump, unfriend me now." And that kind of ultimatum, I don't like. I don't accept ultimatums. So if you don't like me because I don't agree with who you hate or who you're having a battle with, I'm staying out of your battles because I respect your right to disagree with people and I'm not a party to it. But if you're going to issue an ultimatum and basically disconnect from me, that's on you. That says more about you. If you're going to deplatform me or disconnect from me, that says more about you than me because I'm willing to talk to anyone, help people as a PI. I helped Liz Ferris find out that her father was not dead. And I was glad that I could do that for her because that helped bring her some closure that her dad was not dead. Okay. I consider Mike Rinder to be a friend. I consider Aaron to be a friend. Now, I'm not getting in the middle of that fight. Okay. And that's because I respect both of their works and I understand the disagreement that's going on right now. So I would say if you respect people and to a certain extent, you recognize that in any movement, there's going to be differences in factions. My great uncle Robert uh, was a founding member uh, of the Mattachine Society, an early gay rights group, and he told me in the early 1980s he was one of the first people to die from AIDS. My great uncle Robert, and he said, Jeffrey, he was heartbroken. He said, "There's always differences in movements. You can get into any movement, and there'll always be these internecine warfare." And I saw it even when I was going to church. I was at Christian University, Vanguard University in Southern California, and this is an important question. And Francis Schaeffer was very popular among some people, and he is viewed as divisive among others. And he was an early father of dominion theology, the idea that the Christians were going to take back America for God, which I found to be a very offensive idea. One of the reasons I left the church, I didn't like that idea that the Christians thought that America belonged to them when it didn't. And so what I do is I have respect for parties and I listen to them carefully. I contribute, and I'm not going to get into an ultimatum situation. So there's always going to be tension and there's going to be differences. So that's what I would say. If you have a culture of respect, you're going to have these debates and fights go on, and that's just part of what goes on. The larger message we're all in agreement with, I think, is Scientology. So that's part of it, you know. Uh, According to Ray Midoff, Tom Cruise was Nazi Sepp Dietrich, the Oberkommandant of the SS in his previous life. You know, we're getting into metaphysics, so James, I will say that uh, when Tom Cruise, um, when he did his movie um, about the attempted plot to assassinate Hitler, and he played what was it, Von? What was that name? The movie was Valkyrie. Tom Cruise. He played von Stauffenberg. I believe that was the name. Let me just get it. Yeah. He played von Stauffenberg. Um, and von Stauffenberg was Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg. He was the one who coordinated the plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler in the bunker. And Tom Cruise had a picture of him done that he very much resembled it. And I was told by a former insider that Tom Cruise believed he was Klaus von Stauffenberg in a previous life. And I know that in the 80s, there were a lot of Scientologists who had cognitions on the e-meter that they believed they were former Nazis in their past lives. You know, so there's something to that. And thank you for the detailed answer on that. Any shit that does come my way, you seem to brush off. Let me correct that, Dangerman. I don't brush it off. I have respect for it. I read, I listen. I want to know what's going on. If I can help, I will. If I know enough to stay out of it, I will. So I don't brush it off. You know, I know that there's people who have been very damaged by the cult, and we're dealing with some very serious life issues concerning PTSD. And I'll just say it's a complex issue. And the kids who grew up, the second gens, the third gens, they went through hell and back. It was horrific what they were put through because children can't consent. And I understand that. Um, so, and I understand the fact that Mike Rinder was 13 years old when he went aboard the Apollo. And some of the things are, I keep to myself because I know I have some facts. And, you know, people don't want to talk to me about it. It's interesting that Graham Barry's an attorney and I'm a private investigator. There's a lot of talented people who were willing to help, a lot of professionals. And, you know, we're not the only ones. There's plenty of professional people who understand the dynamics of disagreements, the disagreements that are often intense. And they're not just ideological, they come out of lived experience out of deeply wounded people as children. And so I have a certain reverence for that in their stories and helping. And I guess when you get older and you know your generation's aging out, you want to do what you can to help and contribute. And so there's a sensitivity. And in the bigger picture for me, I want to expose Scientology, so I kind of stay in my lane, what I'm good at, and this is why I want to build my own audience, my unique audience, that where we can talk about metaphysics, spirituality, we can talk about the movement, and we're not in the politics of it. And that's not to disrespect anyone that's in the politics of it. Mona Leo wrote a piece, a writer named Mona Leo wrote a piece saying that she thought SPTV was defanging and declining, and I disagree with her completely. In fact, my criticism of her, she's been interested in it, but she's ignorant of the real dynamics going back 20 years, 30 years, back to the time when Mark Bunker was active. So the great thing about the internet and SPTV and Scientology is anybody at any time, even if they don't know a damn thing, can jump into the stream, and I welcome them. I welcome them. You don't have to have an extensive history or blog to join the fight against this fascist killing cult. You don't have to. You can jump in and you can be critical of people. So, because it takes an army, it takes a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. And so it's an open source. It's an open source, and anyone at any time has the right to jump in and protest Scientology. So there's not a hierarchy, and people build their natural audiences. And Aaron Smith Levin's very talented, and he's built his natural audience. And Aaron made an interesting comment today. I just watched his live. There's certain people. Let me see. When people try to spread conspiracies about you, it doesn't seem to affect you or stop you from what you want to do. No, it doesn't. And to that point, I'll give you an example. Marisa Sigmund, who I've never met, don't know, never talked to, she's spreading a lie that Karen and I give $50,000 a month or something or a year to LAPD. That's just an outright lie. Why Marisa's lying about that, I don't know. But it's an outright lie. But, so what am I going to do? Point that out, Marisa. Marisa, I don't know why you're lying, but you are. Karen and I donated an officer here in the Northeast precinct where we live of LAPD was shot and killed in the line of duty. And we donated a picture worth about $500 to the Northeast in his memory. He was shot and killed, and it was pretty brutal. It's an ambush murder. So if you're opposed to honoring a slain officer, and I don't think you are, but you hate cops and you've said so, then that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're lying about us giving cash. That was an attempt to depopularize us because people are opposed to LAPD Hollywood. So yeah, you always get this back channel bullshit going on, and I tend to ignore it because what are you going to do? So it's always been there in the movement. It always goes on. There's factions, and that's part of the price you pay to speak out. And so I'm just identifying her, Marisa. I see it. It gets to me. And, I know who you're talking to because there's a back channel that goes on all the time. And that's just part of it. So, you carry on doing what you're doing and things get noted. That's all. And so that's it. I'm not happy about what's going on, but I told people that when Aaron got fired from the foundation, that the dam broke. So there was a lot of pent-up resentment and that there was going to be a reckoning. And that was what I thought was happening. That's what I see happening. And then what'll happen predictably over time, things will come back into equilibrium and the dominant players will change. So I've seen this happen. And I told someone I was talking to in the 20 years I've been fighting Scientology, there's never not been a time where there hasn't been flame wars, attacks, backstabbing, lying. But there's also that's been accompanied by real results in the diminution of Scientology, its loss of position, money, membership. So the larger picture is that Scientology has been reduced. It is attritional, asymmetrical internet warfare that Scientology can't fight. And within it, there's different groups who see different approaches to how to do it. And I've had people tell me, you don't know what you're doing, get out of the way, I'll do it. And what I tell people is, look, there's no silver bullet. If there was a silver bullet that would take down Scientology, it would have been used a long time ago. There's not a silver bullet. And so what you do is you simply, find out what you're good at doing, what you like doing, and you do that. And that way everyone contributes in different ways because, the second gens can contribute in a way I possibly can't. And they can tell their stories, their lived experiences in a way I possibly can't because I was never in Sea Org. I didn't grow up in Scientology. I respect those boundaries. And my wife was in Sea Org at a high level. And I respect what she did, what she sacrificed, what she's had to pay. So I think I think if you do what you think is best and follow your own conscience, your own light, find out what you want to do and how you contribute, then you build your place within this larger global movement. And it's very fluid and changing. Nobody could have Scientology didn't foresee the billboard would go up. Aftermath maybe didn't see that they would block the billboard. So you take it as it comes. And this is nothing in religious history. When I was young, when I was in college, I was very interested. There's a fellow on the radio, um, the Bible Answer Man, named Walter Martin, and he wrote The Kingdom of the Cults, which was a seminal book in the 1970s about non-Christian cults, including Scientology. He also said that the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses were cults because they didn't embrace the doctrine of the Trinity. And he also talked about the Mormons, and I started reading about Mormon history, and Fawn Brodie early on wrote a lot of history of why Mormon history was false and manufactured. And Fawn Brodie was a problem for LDS, but she forced them to clean up their history. She and others like her forced LDS to come forward and tell the truth about its past. And the church was even buying some forged documents. So that's very, very interesting. And so I wanted to do, with Scientology, one thing the critics have done, so many of us over time, beginning with the books like John Atack wrote, and Piece of Blue Sky, or Russell Miller's Madman or Messiah, Russell Miller's book, and then Ben Corydon's book. A lot of the writers in the 80s exposed Hubbard's World War II record. Hubbard said at the end of World War II, he was crippled and blinded and his family deserted him. Well, that wasn't true. He was so crippled and blinded that he got in his car and drove down to Pasadena and began to, have sex with every woman there and to swindle Jack and practice black magic. So that's how crippled and blinded he was. Instead of going north back up to Puget Sound to be with his wife and two kids, he headed south down to Jack Parsons' place where he tried to get more disability pension. So yeah, this is always a dynamic, changing, shifting movement. Xenu.net blew up and ESMB started, and that was after Anonymous. And then ESMB has blown up over time. There's been people who are considered trolls. There are people who have different theories, about what's going on. There's been so anyway. It's a big arena to work in. But the central thing is to get Scientology's tax exemption taken away. And if it doesn't happen that way, the general consensus building, and I agree with it, I've been saying a long time, is Scientology will lose its tax exemption because of criminal activities in which it's engaged. So, yeah, it's a big. This thing is much bigger than anyone realizes, and there's more people involved than anyone realizes. the Catholics in the anonymous era. There were some very sophisticated Catholics. One lawyer in San Francisco who was very much against the forced abortions, and that's why he got in. That's why a Catholic bishop in Canada got in. So that's a little bit of history. The exponential growth of SPTV with second gens and never ends is the greatest asset to the cause. Certainly, yeah. In 2024, they can do and say things that the internet just wasn't as big back then. And look, even StreamYard, the technology of StreamYard has allowed people to do a lot of things. The ability to buy good, like this good Shure microphone, or just even do. I had my phone yesterday when I did my live from the base to show the billboard, the aftermath billboard. I mean, this allowed me to walk around and talk to thousands and thousands of people, showing the man lip blocking the billboard. So yeah, definitely SPTV is a phenomenon. It's growing. It's getting bigger. I'm glad for everyone that's in. Even if I don't agree with them, I'm not going to say anything because I respect their right. If I have a disagreement, it's not. I'm not the final say so on anything. I'm one voice. And I started my blog just because I was interested in stories that Rolling Stone, for example, wouldn't take. The media didn't want stories if it didn't concern Tom Cruise and celebrity. I was interested in the money, the crime, the lies, the legal matters, and people weren't interested in those stories back in 2014. So I just started my blog because I like to do forensics and financial analysis. So again, find out what you're good at. And Marcy Hamilton is an extraordinarily good lawyer. I love reading her legal work. I love reading legal opinions. So that's why we have so much freedom, but that freedom also means the freedom to disagree. And sometimes people can get vicious. And I understand if they grew up in Scientology and they're damaged, I try to take that into consideration, that they've been harmed and they're reacting or they're angry or they simply don't like you. And that's fine because to a certain extent, I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit. If somebody doesn't like me, life is not a popularity contest. You know, unless you're an actor or you're doing something where you have to be popular, like we just had the Oscars and show people, actors, that's a different thing, image. So, but here, what we're doing in everyday life, you just realize that you're not, you keep your friends and family close to you. And that's why it's so valuable to have a support network to do this. But also the idea coming out of the work I did in Eastern metaphysics, the idea of indifference, of not reacting. So it's always good. You'll never regret not posting something in haste, anger, or rage. You'll never regret not posting it. But you might regret posting something in anger or rage. So I try to think about it and just not post it and just let it go. And I only gave one example of something that's a complete fabrication that has no evidence whatsoever. And that's what Marisa Sigmund said. No, that didn't happen. We donated some artwork to LA Sheriff's Department. Again, about $500 after a deputy was killed. And also there's a picture of a firefighting, honoring firefighters. We did that when I think 12 firefighters were killed in Prescott. So Karen and I have donated some art. And it's nice lithograph, it's paper, framed, matted, beautiful stuff. And it's just something to do for the community to give back to honor first responders. And if that gets turned into a lie about us donating $250,000 a year to LAPD, then that's just a lie. And that's on Marisa Sigmund. That's on her lie. I don't know why. So that would be a waste of time. I'd rather do my lives haven't been that interesting. I worked for a lot of years in corporate. Yeah. There's now a whole new market of viewers who now watch for entertainment purposes. Well, that's terrific because you can see entertainment. Look, Scientology is funny in so many ways. And there's nothing wrong with the entertainment value of watching this cult implode. And that's why I had this slide up. That's why I wanted to put this up. This is why I wanted to put this up. This, to me, not only does it show the cult at work engaging in censorship, but it's funny as hell. It's just funny as hell. It's entertaining to have a cult in real life right now, March 2024. They're advertising on my channel on YouTube. Decipher yourself. When clearly in the real world, in real life, they're not letting their Sea Org see a billboard so the Sea Org can decide for themselves whether or not they want to call the Aftermath Foundation and ask for help getting out of the Sea Org, leaving Scientology. They're not going to let any of their members see that board. But you know what's interesting? Karen and I were driving by today, and Scientology's always had all the windows on Big Blue. It goes up about 8 or 9 stories. You can look, if you are a Sea Org member in berthing, that's on the fountain side of it. If you were up 5, 6 stories, you can look down on that sign from your bedroom window, but they're not going to, they made you close. A long time ago, they sealed up those windows with blinds so you can't look out the windows. Because if you were upstairs, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th floor berthing, you could look down and see it, see that sign clearly. But anyway, that's part of the entertainment of it. It's funny, but at the same time, it's horrific and tragic. So that's the sort of tragicomedy, I guess, and that's not even the right word to use. It's more of a horror thing. But sometimes the hypocrisy is funny to satirize. I am addicted to SPTV. I canceled Hulu. Yeah, it's getting like that because this is participatory. It's very participatory. So you don't have to have any experience in this. Anyone who wants to jump on and watch, participate, comment should. You don't need to have any, you don't need to, all you need to know is that you want Scientology to end because of its human rights abuses, what it's done to its kids, people that are suffering PTSD and need help. You just, so it's so great that people jump in. And yeah, I watch more SPTV now because it becomes a community of people, and it's worthwhile to do. But I think it leads to more infighting and squabbling over who gets to benefit from those new followers. Well, maybe, but I think the people who do it, Aaron's very talented, so he has a huge following. He's incredibly talented. And he knows how to simplify and explain things, and I admire his abilities and talents. And I'm not doing it for followers. It's kind of a game to build followers, but if there's some infighting or this goes into some drama channel, that's fine because everyone's free to do what they want to do. Take it however they want to take it, because you can approach Scientology from 20 different angles. So I'm just glad to see it being exposed. And if there's some infighting, that happens in any community. I mean, that just happens in any community. It's like on, like I don't own a pickup truck, never have. I might buy one, thinking I might get a Ford F-150, but I can't believe I was tuning into these like there's these big online wars over pickup trucks, whether it's the Ford F-150 or the Chevy Silverado or the Dodge Ram. And these guys with pickup trucks, these men and women both, they get into some really intense fighting over pickup trucks. Like that's going to war. Same thing with motorcycles. And I watch cooking channels about the there's more and more reaction videos now on YouTube than ever. So YouTube itself is changing the way we consume content. One channel I do like is Natalie Webster, because she watches a lot of content and then gives you a summation every day. And I really enjoy Natalie. She's good, even tempered, been in the church, has a lot of real life experience. So when she interprets content through her lens, I really like her refreshing, friendly way in which she does it. And uh, American tribalism knows no bounds. Well, Jess, you are correct, and that's why some political pundits say that we're on the verge of a civil war in America. I personally don't think so, but some people do think we're on the verge of a war. And so Sea Org members never see daylight unless they're outside. I don't think they do. I mean, they have every window sealed up because they don't want you to see inside all the hallways, everything. I think some of the windows that are tinted along Asheville, maybe they get to see outside, but yeah, they used to take smoke breaks. I've got some pictures. Right around 3 or 4, they used to go outside and you would see young and old members vaping, and they were vaping like crazy. And I don't see them out there anymore vaping. I don't know what they've done, but I want to get this. I'll show you this picture, and it's the most damn interesting thing. And we're not getting to our topic, but that's fine. We're just talking. Let's see. Do I have it? I'm just looking for a picture of a bunch of Sea Org members smoking. And the thing that struck me is they were young and old. These young and old Sea Org members were out there smoking and vaping. And it was the most interesting picture. Cigarettes, let me see if it's smoking. Well, I don't know if I can find it, but there used to be, you could drive by in the afternoon, and 9 out of 10 times you would you'd be able to see some people smoking, and they would go out there and they would puff furiously. Now, I wanted to show you this thing. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. Despite all the different things, the net effect of what we're doing here is pretty powerful. So, yeah, you're going to have conflicts in any movement. That's all. Now, what we did as a community over time, beginning in the 80s, and this was with Omar Garrison, who wrote Hubbard's biography, which the church bought, and it'll never see the light of day. And Omar Garrison, Jerry Armstrong was his assistant, and he leaked a lot of documents, including the affirmations. L. Ron Hubbard, and this was stolen valor. It's something I did on my blog, and a lot of other people have covered it. But Hubbard claimed to have had a Bronze Star and 2 Purple Hearts. He claimed to have been this combat, he claimed this ridiculous story. I'm gonna do a show on this. And we have his actual DD-14, his record of separation, his real medals, and it's covered in blue sky. And L. Ron Hubbard claimed that he was taken down at the war, and he was put in Java as a spy and machine gunned in the back, and he went back up and floated on a life raft with someone else, and an American boat picked him up. So the ridiculousness of Hubbard's claims. So I like to research and compile information. I really enjoy research, and so that's what I've stuck to. Now, I'm just saying that as the movement, find something that interests you, that you're good at doing, and work on that. It's like Alex Barnes Ross picked up, he wants to cover Kozrecki. And so there you go. Fake military words, proof of Navy involvement. No, I'm not sure I understand your question. They were just fake things. These kids today with their vaping, shaking my head. Sounds like an old man. These kids today with their vaping. They're vaping and they're. I see old people my age vaping here. Pink eye is terrible. That's true. And that's what L. Ron Hubbard, or I'm sorry, that SNL skit on Scientology, neurotology, that's what their founder died of, is pink eye. So what do they actually do all day? That would be a great question for a former SEERG member. What do you do all day? I mean, what do they do all day? I mean, they stay busy doing something, but what is it? That would be a great question. Um, Thank you for saying we can all comment. Well, I have a caveat here. If you're say anything that violates terms of service, I will block you, because I've had to block some people who just are malicious. I'm a never end and only learning about all this for about 2 months now. I felt like I couldn't say no. Christy, thank you for pointing this out. No, what I said, yeah, is I'll repeat. Anyone without any background can jump into this community at any time, and I respect the right to have opinions. My blog is there for people to research. There are other blogs for people to research, and I think, to be fair, and I've made this point before, people love to listen to YouTube, but they won't always search YouTube videos because YouTube videos aren't searching. So I wanted to make my blog a research repository where you could get documents and search it when you really want to go in depth. And that's one public service I think my blog's provided, is you can go in there and just research it and get all kinds of interesting stuff. And no, you don't need qualifications. You just need that desire to help liberate people from Scientology and to expose the cult. And I think it's a great thing. And Scientology is fascinating because it's an actual, real, vicious cult, and it does exist. It does exist not just here in America, but over other parts of the world. And it does horrendous things. It violates human rights. It engages in child trafficking. It moves people around the world. It covers up sexual crimes and other types of crimes. It's greedy. It's malicious. So you actually do have this very death and destructive oriented cult harming people, and you can do something about it, and you can educate yourself. Look, when I started, I knew a little bit about Scientology, but not a lot. And over the years, as I was researching, I would just use my blog as like my notes. I kept my notes there of research because I actually did want to do formal research into Scientology. So I just began to compile my formal research into my blog, and that led to what I did. But you got to start somewhere. It's the same with, I started with one podcast. Aaron Smith Levin started his channel a long time ago, and he just kept getting better and better. And of course, I read Tony Ortega every day. Not everyone agrees with Tony or likes him, but he has some very good information. I try to get the best information I can, verify it, put it out there, and I don't always look at like, do I like the person or not? I look at, is the content valid? Is it something I want to report on? Tony did an interesting thing today about one of the Jane Doe's lawsuits down in Florida and what the legal filing was, and whether or not Scientology's demand for arbitration can apply in certain types of cases, as is the one that's going down in Florida, and what the laws are. So, we, all of us, and that's the nice thing about SPTV, is there's so many channels, and you can get just some really great information for the SPTV channels. I tend to like to go archival and actually get legal documents from Pacer, and I make calls behind the scenes, interview people. Someone online who I like made a comment about me, and it was false. And so I wondered why they didn't do the courtesy of calling me to ask if it was true. So I have a call out to them to saying, why didn't you at least call me and ask if this was correct? I'm not mad. It's just I'm disappointed that, like, I have a phone, you have a phone, you could call me to ask if that's correct. So when you get involved, it's like, do your facts, ask if it's correct, make a phone call. Try not to make enemies, because that's not going to help you at all. So someone has to demonstrate the joy of having fun. I say a guide in the wilderness, the navigation of freedom. Yeah. Well, that's why I started my satire blog. OT It Is Great, because if you don't laugh, you cry, and some things are so damn funny that I see the humor in a lot of stuff other people don't. And this is like Aaron today made a point um, about the McClarys and Jerry Armstrong. Why aren't they being interviewed? Well, they can build their own platforms. I wrote to Mike McClary. I made a comment that he should just put his books up on Kindle and sell them on Amazon. And no, I agree with Aaron about the McClarys. No one's stopping them from doing a damn thing. They should start their own YouTube channel. But to expect to come on an established platform, to expect to go on an established platform like Aaron has and get an audience, no, that's not how it works. In this world, on YouTube, you have to create your own platform and build your own audience. You don't get it given to you just because. There's people I wouldn't have on my platform at all. There's people Aaron won't, and I respect that. Like I can demand all I want that Joe Rogan should have me on his channel, but he's not going to. I'm a nobody to him, and I respect that. It's sort of like that's just how it works. People with platforms know what they did that was successful, that built their platform. They know what they want for their particular platform. So for these people out there, like Mike in Virginia, to demand to be platformed, no, that's not how it works. Your message is not compelling. It doesn't sell. People are not interested. There's no conspiracy to keep you from talking about the fact that, the McClarys argue that LRH was a CIA agent and that people like me are trying to cover that up. No, I don't care. If you think that Ron was a CIA agent, show the evidence, which I haven't seen actually smoking gun evidence, real evidence. Two, if you think that, then go on YouTube, make your videos, do your PowerPoints, present your evidence, and so it's sort of like content that is good, that's well informed, that's creative, that's cutting edge. Like yesterday when I went down and just filmed the man lifts covering the Aftermath Foundation sign. That was interesting and relevant. Talking about L. Ron Hubbard being picked as to be a future spy agent by Major Ian McBean in 1926 or whatever. It's not relevant. It's not interesting. So yeah, these are good things, and I think as the movement expands in SPTV, these questions do get addressed. And yeah, if Jim Rome, great sports commentator, love listening to Jim Rome. When he has people on, he always when he has people calling his show, he'll always say, "Have a take and don't suck." And I think that's fair for Jim Rome. Have a take and don't suck. Give the listeners something interesting. And that's kind of it. Have a take and don't suck, because part of it is you do want to have a good, entertaining show that will get ratings. So challenging someone to a debate and then calling them a coward if they don't accept is coattailing. Yeah, it is. I've had challenging someone to a debate. Usually what happens is somebody without a platform and they're not that interesting, they demand that you give them your platform. It's like, no, sorry, I've spent years building my platform. I know what I want to listen to. And it's like Aaron, he knows what interests him and he builds his platform around that, and he has a good eye for what's interesting to people. So yeah, but the demand that we should platform people who have some axe to grind, I don't have any interest. I don't owe them anything. And they're free to start their own YouTube channels and build their own audiences. So, you know, uh, it's so hard to imagine a new person not researching Scientology these days. Correct. It must be attracting people who want to be in a cult rather than drift into it by mistake. Um, well, I think doing your due diligence before you join any group is smart. My blog, the traffic's been way up in probably the past 6 months, but particularly Grant Cardone. I've been covering Scientologist Grant Cardone for years. And I got to tell you, my views, the people that go to my blog to read up on Grant are way up, way up. The public has far more awareness than you assume. Correct. Plus, the aliens are not going away. Yeah, that's the other thing. Claim your destiny. The aliens are not going away. Question, Mateo. Seorg does outside contracting for money for Sciento? No, not to my knowledge. Seorg is exclusively it's exclusively does its own thing. I don't think they take outside work. Now, Scientology Media Productions has offered its facilities to other religious groups that are 501c3, but I haven't seen much of that happen at all. So I'm not sure I understand your question. I hope I answered it. Some of LRH's orders are on Internet Archive and WikiLeaks. True, and I have a priceless book here. The original LRH executive directives. And this thing is a treasure trove. It's out of print. And to another point, the Scientology Technical Dictionary is out of print. If you want to educate yourself, type in Scientology Technical Dictionary, PDF, and you'll find it online. And it's been out of print a long time, and they're actually hard to find. David Miscavige withdrew it from publication. I think I have a copy here. Well, anyway, the technical dictionary is something any new Scientology watcher should get, because the first hurdle you have to get is to, clear up words like an ARC break, affinity reality communication. But I would download the Scientology technical dictionary just to have it, because if you want to know the definition of in theta, we joke about it, but you should read how the cult reads it. And yeah, you should have their power formula for the third dynamic teaches that if you are loyal to the guy in power, then Scientology lets you commit murders. I don't care whose feet are sticking out. Oh, that's what's called the pink legs policy, where L. Ron Hubbard wrote that if you're connected to a power, you'll take care of his problems. So that if there's a pile of bodies outside of his office, and there's some pink legs sticking out, you'll tell him to never mind. Don't worry about it. And what L. Ron Hubbard was saying is you should kill and destroy for him and not let him know about it. That is meaning if you get caught, you go to prison. Mary Craig Smith. It's okay to have a friend named Ted. Yes, your friend named Ted. Now, Ted could be strange. He could have pee in jars, but that's Ted. He had problems. When he was mowing the yard when he was a kid, the lawnmower blew up and a piece of lawnmower went into his skull. That's an old National Lampoon joke. His problem is he had a piece of lawnmower in his head. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so you can kind of see. I want to get into metaphysics, but this is a good conversation, Mary. Sometimes it's a debate and switch, less genuine and more tactic. It is. I've seen that happen. And again, this is why I like both blogs. I like blogging. I like hardcore blogging, where you have your documents, your research, or what they call your receipts. You have your evidence, and it's all there. So those are good research projects. And if they turn into material that content creators can use, I'm glad to share. People can go to my blog. Any content creator can take stuff off my blog. I like to be credited that it came from my blog. But part of what I do is to create content for content creators. I create it for myself, for my own interest. And then if people want to use it in their, and a lot of people have, and I'm glad to serve it that way. Yes, due diligence before you get into anything, especially these days. Karen and I had an experience recently where we had to someone was very dishonest about something, and it involved money, and we got the situation cleared up, and it was very easy to do because I did some due diligence and checking, and we did decided not to move forward on this thing. So yeah, I can't imagine me ballsy enough to demand someone give me time on their platform. Well, that's because you're decent, Christy, but there are people out there who think, and they don't have a lot of talent, and they're not saying anything original, or it's not interesting or appropriate for your platform, but they're demanding to be heard. And that's the whole thing. This world is competitive. The internet's competitive. It's always competitive. That's the nature of capitalism. That's the nature of that's the motion pictures are a business. It's all competitive. The Oscars, they get to vote for the best products there, the things that sell, the things that interest the Academy. And so there are people who think they're entitled to be heard apropos of what? Apropos of what? And so the answer is to create your own damn platform. And again, I always come back to I started my blog because I wasn't writing about celebrities and nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. So I don't have the biggest blog in the world or the biggest YouTube channel, but at least I'm doing what I like to do, what I'm interested in. And I think if you do something that satisfies you, ultimately, that's the test of it. If you like what you're doing and you build up a good content, good. Now, I do some things that are fairly esoteric. They're not very big, and I don't care, but it still interests me because it's my life. And so you should do things that you like for your life. And if you get some friends involved, that's great. I belong to some work groups that are very useful for me, and they're esoteric, and I really enjoy esoteric things that are esoteric. But not everyone does, and I respect that. You don't have to agree with me, and I also don't have to explain it to you. I don't need to explain myself. Um, I mean, the new people that join Scientology, they have to know what they're getting into. Um, no, no, let's unpack this for a minute, Dangerman 5. And what happened to Dangerman 1, 2, 3, and 4? Did you take them out? What's going on, Dangerman 5? Where are the missing Dangermen? No, actually, the new people going into Scientology, while they're fewer in numbers, they don't always have the luxury of due diligence because if they did, I think the minute they saw those contracts stripping them of their civil and legal rights, they wouldn't join. Scientology gets people in who Scientology is predatory. Its personality test, called the Oxford Capacity Analysis, is designed to find your ruin, or find out what you really want in life. So they're going to find out what your ruin is and say Scientology can fix that. In the old days, there was a Scientologist, Michael Pattinson. He was a very talented artist. He was a gay man, and he was very in the closet about being gay, and he didn't want to be gay. He was self-hating. And he's no longer with us, but he was a very good man. And Scientology promised him that they could cure him of being gay or ungay him. And they said, just as they had done for John Travolta. You can Google Michael Pattinson, Pattinson. He actually sued making these claims. And because Scientology promised him that. So they find what your fear is and they prey on that. And that's not rational. And a lot of people who are emotionally troubled, Scientology will prey on. And those people who are emotionally troubled and vulnerable will not have the rationality to check on it because they think they're going to be helped from whatever their ruin is. Scientology also appeals to a certain class of narcissists who say, we can give you that movie star career in Hollywood because we have all the comm lines. Look, we have Tom Cruise and John Travolta. We have comm lines into all the casting agencies. We have some people at creative artists agencies. So You would think they would do more checking, but they may not. Um, I want to read the anti-psych stuff. If you want to go to Citizens Commission on Human Rights, that's the batshit crazy part of Scientology. Well, it's all batshit, but CCHR, just go to Citizens Committee on Human Rights, and you can read about how the Nazis created psychiatry and how the Nazis were behind every atrocity, including 9/11. I'm sorry, not the Nazis, but the psychiatrists. They Citizens Commission on Human Rights says that the Nazis were behind Hitler. They say that the Nazi, I'm sorry, psychiatrists were behind Hitler, psychiatrists were behind 9/11, and that the Islamic terrorists who brought about 9/11 actually had psychiatrists behind them. It's sort of like psychiatrists under every bed. Um, the new breed of Scientologists may be more militant, attracted to high control. Maybe some of them are, yeah. And some people may be going there because they're contrarians. I don't know. Um, just looked up the technical dictionary, rated 4.1 on Amazon and 2.4 on Goodreads. Well, go get a copy so at least you can know what words are. I use it all the time. Aaron is entertaining, a great communicator. Agreed. That's great, but some of his fans fall in the no, I don't agree with that. I don't. I'm sorry, respectfully, Danger. I don't agree with that. Um, the last thing Aaron has is I just don't agree with that. And I respectfully, people, he's a good communicator. Look, if he has fans, that's fair. He gets super chats. That's good, you know. But the thing is, he's getting the message out there. He actually produces compelling content and he has an audience. And if some of his fans are hardcore, good, but there's not, no. That whole cult of Aaron, I don't even want to hear it. Don't even want to hear about it. I don't see it. And he's got a very intelligent audience. I just decided to look up if they have Scientology mobile apps. Lo and behold, yeah, HD2, they have Scientology mobile apps. When I was doing my live stream yesterday, I was showing these little sandwich boards, and one had the Dianetics volcano with a thing you can scan to get the app. And I wondered aloud if when Xenu was dumping people into the volcanoes before nuking them, if there was an app on the volcano you scanned to become a body thetan. So did Xenu have a body thetan app? I have to that was my agent. I was never an actor, but I'd always be a great thing to say. That was my agent. I got the big part in the role. It's a movie called Battlefield Earth. I get to wear a giant cod piece. That must have been what John Travolta said. John, how do you feel about wearing a huge cod piece in this movie L. Ron Hubbard wrote? And John said, great, we should bring back the cod piece. The other thing, when I was growing up, if you were a player, you would say, they didn't have cell phones, so pretend this is an old rotary phone. Excuse me, I have to take this call. Because the power thing when I was growing up, to just diverge, is in restaurants, if you were a big shot, they had a little a table with wheels on it, and they would roll it to your it had a tablecloth on it, and they would roll it to your table, and they would have a phone call on it, and they'd say, Miss Anderson, you have a call. And Miss Anderson, she's a titan of industry. She would pick up the phone and go, hello? Yes, 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 yes. Move 50,000 into IBM. And she'd go, sorry, that was my broker. So when I was growing up, there were stockbrokers. And if you'd say, I'm sorry, that was my stockbroker on the phone, that meant you were rich. Now you just go on and you move 500,000 shares of NVIDIA, sell because they're high now. And then we're going to move some money over here. Now you just do, it's all self-directed. But anyway, you should always do what you understand and have knowledge of it and rock your boat as it shows in the videos. I agree, Stefan. Do what you like. Um, yeah, I agree. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So, you know, are the billion-year contracts legal? Uh, it's not. You know what? The billion-year contract. Let's clarify. The billion-year contract is not an actual contract. It's a pledge. If you read it, it says, "I pledge myself to." And because the Sea Org doesn't legally exist, it has no form of actual existence. It's not even a real contract. It's just a pledge that you'll serve Scientology for 1 billion years. It's not enforceable in any way. It's a it's a it's a hoax. It's just a pledge. It would be like me signing a contract saying I pledge myself to Zoltan, ruler of Pluto, for the next billion years. It doesn't mean anything. But you have to agree to serve Scientology 1 billion years so that you can become a staff member in what's called the Sea Org. And it's the court called the Sea Org. There's a court case I should post about the Sea Org. I have it up, but they called it, the judge used a technical term, and he said that the Sea Org began like a fraternity or a clan, but it was a deceptus visus. That's a Latin term meaning to fool the eye. It has no actual existence, but it appears to exist. And let me see if I've got. I'll just go there. I'm going to show you. When they were going with the IRS, I'm going to show you this. We'll just jump over here since we're not going to hit our metaphysical topic today, but that's fine. It's good to take questions and just talk. So just give me a minute. Let me see if that. Okay, I'm going to share this tab. Now, regarding the CR contract, oh, wait. Okay, now this is from my blog, and I wanted to show you this when the Church of Scientology was applying for their 501c3, their tax exemption. This is what they submitted. And this I'll post the link to right now in the show notes. This is my article, one of my articles on why the CRG doesn't legally exist. And this is a footnote in their submissions. There was a 1029 submission, I think it is. It says technically, you can see this. Technically, there is no. Oh no, that's Church of Scientology. Anyway, in this article I just posted, the CR appears to exist, but it doesn't. So therefore, the billion-year contract's not enforceable, but the staff contract that you sign joins it. And I go through and see. To me, this was interesting because when I was in corporate life, everything actually had to be done. Everything actually had to be done. So I got interested in how do you get into Scientology? How is everything actually done? Where does the money go? What are the accounts? What are the corporations? What are the departments? So, Faraliminal, I was shocked that they have a whole museum in LA dedicated to this. Yeah, that's CCHR's Psychiatry Industry of Death Museum. So it's kind of like a really weird place to go. If you're off, if they don't know who you are, you should take a view through there. It's really like a freak show to go see. It's like talking shop, the lexicons of dialects of concepts and contexts. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And Scientology's is, I have interpreted documents for government agencies, told them what certain things mean, what the contracts and structure are. I've been behind the scenes in some cases. Once you learn how to talk Scientology, it's an acquired language. You have to hear it spoken by people who grew up in it, and it's complex to learn. But I have learned it, and I can read it and understand it. And like any cult, it's a substitute for regular language. It's part of the mind control. So no, let me just take some out. I'm sorry, we're getting some. I'm trying to do a good show here, and have you been? No, I've never been trespassed. No, I stay on the public sidewalk. I haven't been trespassed at all. I stay on the public sidewalk, and that's the key to it: is stay on the public sidewalk. I was walking along with one of the live streamers at Celebrity Center, and she stepped foot over the driveway at the Celebrity Center, and the loudspeaker said, "Stay off our property." And you could see Aaron was told to get off the property. As long as you stay on the public property on the sidewalk, they can't trespass you. So that's why I'm saying you obey the laws. Mary says, "How the existence of non-existence." Oh boy, that we have to go down. Mary, we got to do I was going to do metaphysics and talk about it, but anyway, Zimu, yes, Zimu with an M or a U. Mainly Linda. Hi, Linda. I really enjoy your satire and learning about Scientology. By the way, did Brendana ever find your flat map to show where Maine is located? No, Brendana kind of shows up when she wants, and my flat map, I did find the flat map, and I learned that Maine is apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, mainly Linda, but Maine appears to be part of upstate New York. And apparently, upstate New York extends up through Canada. That's part of upstate New York. So, upstate New York goes from like towns like Skaneateles and such, and then it goes up into Maine, uh, New Hampshire, Canada, and then it goes all the way up to the North Pole. That's what according to my flat map shows. So, and Canada connects to Russia. Now, that's not counting the underground bases, of course, the Nazis had. L. Ron Hubbard never wrote about that. Look, I'm going to just put using time out. Look, on the comments, if you guys, you could take that elsewhere if you want an argument about Aaron. I don't want it in my comments. With all due respect, you guys can go start a YouTube channel and argue about it. That would be the proper thing to do. Please just keep that stuff off my. Please respect my platform. I don't go on your platforms and do that. If you guys want to have an argument or debate, feel free, but take it elsewhere. The Anti-Psych Museum, Paraliminal States, was like one of those deranged leaflets we'd seen at the laundromat billboard. That's so funny because when I was young, I'd go to the laundromat and there was always some kind of like leaflets, either from the Jack Chick leaflets or Children of God or Synanon, the Process Church. Yeah, laundromats back in the day were really a breeding ground for cults because every cult in the world would go to laundromats because young people like me had to go do our laundry. And there was always entertaining leaflets. They were especially big with the Jehovah's Witnesses Awake magazines. Awake, and I could read about Jehovah's Theocratic Kingdom and the paradisical splendors that from whence we fell. And so I always enjoyed it. The Scientology staff contract legal because the terms and conditions aren't disclosed. Scientology doesn't say you'll be locked up or eat rice and beans. Well, to get James, I've studied this at length, talked to lawyers. I have all kinds of court things. The Scientology staff contract specificity, you know that when you go in, that you're going to have communal birthing. You know that you're subject to harsh ecclesiastical discipline. What the contract says, you agree to be bound by the ecclesiastical rules and discipline of the Scientology religion. So contractually, Scientology doesn't have to disclose or won't disclose every horrible thing that could happen to you. And so, yes, you're correct. They don't disclose everything, every potential thing that could happen to you, but they don't care because, like I said yesterday, they don't give a shit about the law. They want to get you to sign. And then under US law, which is terrible, it says you can't, once you give your consent to be governed by the ecclesiastical rules and discipline of any given religion, you can be subject to really brutal things. But do they have to spell out these are all the things that could happen to you? No, because a religious volunteer contract, you have the right to give your consent to be governed. It's quite unlike a consumer contract when you buy a car. So there's some differences in law, and the arbitration is really, I think, what's unconscionable. Having minors sign contracts is unconscionable and illegal. And that would be a good show for everything they don't say. Jess, as a person, very Philomero Skinny Atlas in that area, I wish upstate New York was more like Maine. Yeah, I've been to Skinny Atlas and a lot of places up in upstate New York. Used to do some traveling up there. In Indiana, you get Christian magazines and Bibles in doctors' waiting rooms. Yeah, doctors and dentists' waiting rooms were often out here in LA. There wasn't so much Bibles. There were like just random magazines that I guess the doctor brought in from the house, or the dentist, or their spouse brought in, so you could just get a hodgepodge of things. So anyway, well, we didn't get to metaphysics. We were just doing what's going on locally in the movement overall. I hope you enjoyed it. And so the comments, boy, they were really had some debate today. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed it today. I didn't get to metaphysics. What I was going to do, and I'll just give you a little bit of a tease of what I wanted to talk about, and we'll do it. We'll do it on another episode. We were going to go through the bridge to total freedom. That's what we were going to go through. I wanted to talk about, for new Scientology watchers especially, what this document, let me remove the comment, what the bridge to total freedom is about, how it was constructed, a little bit of history. This is the present form on Scientology's actual website, but the bridge to total freedom. I wanted to go through this, and I think it'd be an interesting one or two shows to talk about how it got constructed, how it came into being, earlier versions. And so really this is a really interesting document. It's not hard to understand at all. It looks complicated, like some air traffic control chart, but it's not. This is so easy to break down and deconstruct. And this is what I want to go through in terms of metaphysics and part of what keeps people in. So this chart, we'll do probably 2 shows on it. And I guarantee you, I want to help educate you about, especially if you're a new Scientology watcher, knowledge is power. And this thing is really not complicated. And I just wanted to take you through what it is. And it would explain part of what keeps people inside of Scientology, just part of it. And we're going to talk about the financial aspects of it, the esoteric aspects, the coercion and control, the milieu control, and how you keep paying more and more of your life energy, your money, your family, how you keep being stripped of everything, and how this really works in a psychopolitical level, surveillance, intelligence, coercion, what this really sums to, because it's very fascinating what it appears to be, but what it actually is and how it really functions. So this thing has always fascinated me. It's not like the periodic table of the elements at all. It's not sophisticated. It's basically a product line offering backed up by an insane group that wants all your money. This is just a sales brochure. It's nothing more than a sales brochure that's made to look like it's a very sophisticated enlightenment tool, but it's not. It's a sales brochure. It's like you were going into a giant cult department store called Scientology, and this is what they have for you. So this thing is really, really interesting to get into. And like I said, it's easy to break apart. It wants to be complex, but it's just the sales, brochure for the Scientology cult department store, or what they'd call their ideal org or their org or something. Anyway, that's what I wanted to do, and we'll do that on the next thing. So, oh, oh my gosh, there's some fighting. I have to put some people in timeout. I'm sorry, but I like that, the MLM to total freedom. That's funny. And so, let me see. We're getting some. My gosh, I'm sorry. I just have to ban some users. Oh, thank you, Paul. So anyway, we're going to wind it up today. I'm sorry we didn't get to the grade chart. I was going to take you up from really doing the purification rundown through OT8. And like I said, that'll probably take 2. Hello, Paul of Scotland. Greetings to you as well. I like that mustache. You look like a military man. So welcome to the show, Paul. Glad to have you from Scotland. And Jeffrey, you're really courageous. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say, but I'm just a guy on the internet and just a guy on the internet. But thank you, Paul. That's kind of you to say. Glad to have you on the show. Mary Crucksmith, I will be curious to glean if it covers the subject of not burning your bridges. No, in fact, Mary, it's all about burning your bridges to everything and burning your bridges to yourself. In fact, I think Scientology, you destroy your fundamental relationship to yourself. And Jason McGay said it best. He said, you take on a matrix of thought that is not your own. I've always thought that was very astute on Jason's part. Came through Karen's channel. Well, that's nice, Paul. I'll tell Karen that. I'll tell Karen that. And Scotland, beautiful place. That's somewhere I want to go. I have not. I've been to England, and didn't have the time to go to Scotland, but I very much want to go. One story: David Miscavige went on a tour with 2 women, all by himself, with 2 women, with Lou and someone else, to Scotland, and he went on a tasting trip of the fine whiskey. Of your fine whiskeys, and that's how he got addicted to that really expensive Scottish whiskey. So he was there, and he got a taste for the liquid. Apparently, he's a thirsty ecclesiastical leader, and very thirsty. I applied the problems of work and got locked out of auditing. The executive director told me that he has no auditing for me. I'm not sure. See, this is James' comment here. The ED, once you get to learn Scientology, you'll know ED is executive director. Executive director. So it'd be fun to, what a waste of good whiskey. Oh, you're a troublemaker, Paul. I know you're a troublemaker. Yeah, what a waste. What a waste of good whiskey on that little pimp. Well, he's got the money to buy. That's so funny. That's so Scottish. I wouldn't want to be the first one on the schedule the day after you enjoyed that scotch. No kidding. I'm a subversive. Join the club. I am too. I think all of us are. So I'm going to end the stream. Thank you all for watching. It's good to cover some territory and talk about some things. And I think it's part of the part of what's going on. People are talking more, and that's the good thing about SPTV. So for Scientology Money Project on SPTV, Jeffrey Augustine saying thank you so much for watching, and we're going to go out this way.